Team Wilcox. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Yeah, it's pretty nifty, dice, I guess. I'll call it dice, but yeah, it's pretty neat. For the Flintstones.
Oh,
You're all, yeah, they're all from.
Well, folks, I think we are ready. You guys are ready. I have not heard anything from Councilmember Blair.
he's on.
There he is. Okay. Hey,
I'll do it.
Councilmember.
I'll have the video on here in a second.
There we go. Councilmember Wood, can you get your smiling face on there and do a voice check with me?
Testing 1, 2, 3.
That's enough. Okay. I'm gonna turn the volume up just a little bit. Tracy, can you say something else?
Testing 1, 2, 3.
All right, very good. And there's James. Thank you for joining us. All right, we're ready to go. And our city clerk is with us, so I will. We're about ready to start, Cody.
Gotcha. We're shut.
Okay.
Give about a minute delay out here, so
Oh, gotcha.
I think next second to come in and yell for me.
All right. Lori, are we ready?
I'm ready.
Well, then I will call the meeting of Yelm City Council of May 11th, 2021 to order. And we will do so in our usual manner by standing and saluting our flag. If you're virtual, you can stand and salute your own flag. I
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
thank you. Now ask the clerk to take the roll, please.
Councilmember James Blair.
Here.
Councilmember Molly Carmody.
Here.
Councilmember EJ Curry.
Here.
Councilmember Tracy Wood.
Here.
Councilmember Joe DePinto.
Sure.
Councilmember Terry Kaminsky.
Here.
And Mayor J.W. Foster.
Here.
Thank you.
Before we go on to the next step, just a reminder, this is a virtual hybrid meeting. So we do have some people who are attending virtually tonight, and we actually have more people in council chambers than we have seen since 2019. But for anybody watching, you can't really see it on camera, but we are enforcing our rule of masks inside a building, so please keep your masks on. And we have everybody separated by around 6 feet. So we feel like we've provided a safe environment for those who wish to be in person today. This can get a little clunky sometimes as we move between speakers. So we'll just take our time and make sure we do it right. As you'll see from the agenda, we're going to have, as the agenda stands right now, we'll have a special presentation to our student of the month for March. We'll have some public comment if anybody is here for that purpose. Then we'll have new business, which is a public works department presentation, and then old business, which will be to interview the candidates for the appointment to council position number 4. And those interviews will take place at that time for those candidates. Then there'll be updates from the department heads, and we have no executive session scheduled. So that is our printed agenda. Are there any adjustments to the agenda that council would like to make? Hearing none, I would ask for a motion to approve the agenda.
Move to approve the agenda.
And a reminder that since it's somewhat muffled in here, if you make a motion or a second, please state your name.
Councilman Curley.
Second, Terry Kaminsky.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Tracy.
Okay, we got it all. The agenda stands. So we now get to move on to one of our favorite things, which is to recognize one of our awesome students at Yelm High School, who, for the first time since I can remember, is actually here. So Joe, would you stand at the dais, please, and be recognized? Now, for those of you who have not experienced this before, the Rotary Club of Yelm and the Yelm Community Schools consider nominations for a Student of the Month each month during the school year. And one of these many talented students is then recognized by a partnership that is made up of the city of Yelm, the school district, Rotary Club, and then some sponsors who would wish to honor these students with a token of their appreciation. Olympia Federal Savings, American Family Insurance, Ken McCullough, Masonry Cafe, Walmart, Edward Jones, Financial Advisor Pam Ferris, Pizzeria La Gitana, the Shiplap Shop, Yelm Food Co-op, Grocery Outlet, and of course, all of us here. And this particular, before you here is Joe Harrison, and he was actually selected as the Student of the Month for March, but because of his busy schedule, he wasn't able to make it at that meeting, so we're going to recognize him tonight. So Joe, according to his school, is an incredibly caring and dedicated Yelm High School senior. He's very active in school and community activities, all while maintaining great grades. He's continued to stay very involved and connected in school, even during remote learning. He's in the Yelm High School Symphonic Band and Marching Band, and has recently obtained the rank of Eagle Scout. This student is a survivor and has worked hard to live a normal life despite lifelong health challenges, and has made a big difference in the lives of others through his service, especially his Eagle Scout project. This project included getting and filling backpacks for foster children to be given to them upon entering the foster system. These backpacks were filled with clothes, snacks, toiletries, blankets, and toys. Joe actually doubled the amount of backpacks he was aiming to put together for this impactful project. Joe plans on going to the University of Colorado to study astronomy or astrophysics in the fall. They are lucky to have him, as he will no doubt make a positive impact there as well. Please join me in thanking Joe for his service to our community. Joe, you will also receive this lovely plaque. I'll show it to the audience at home. And you can make the rounds of virtually shaking hands with the council members here. But before you do that, is there anything that you would like to say to council?
Not much. I was just never really shocked to get this award. I always saw a sign like, oh, that's interesting. Oh, my fellow scout mate, Student of the Month. Oh, that's nice for them. I'm like, sure, it'd be nice to achieve that, but it's not really something I'm going for. I was always too focused on soccer, scouts, taking care of my 5 younger siblings, whatever it was. I was always too focused on that and keeping grades up to ever really shoot for Student of the Month.
Well, you've made quite an impression on your school and your community. So great job. If you'd like, you could sing the school song or something. No.
I know the trumpet part, not the words.
Joe, why don't you take a round and just bump elbows with the council members? We don't have any members of Rotary with us tonight.
Okay, sir, coming here's for you, and you're welcome to stay, or you can go on for your.
I got a scout meeting.
I figured you did. Thank you, Joe. Great job.
Thank you, sir.
Wonderful. All right. Special presentations like that are always just so awesome. And although it's not on the agenda, I do have one more special presentation, and this is to recognize Police Week and Peace Officers Memorial Day. I put this resolution together, proclamation for us to read out tonight. Whereas federal, state, county, and local police officers across the United States serve their communities with valor, dignity, and integrity. And whereas law enforcement officers are charged with pursuing justice for all individuals while providing service, protection, and comfort under challenging and sometimes perilous conditions. And whereas even in the extraordinary circumstances of the pandemic, our officers bravely continue to meet the call of duty. And whereas the President of the United States has designated the week of May 10 through 15 as National Police Week, and whereas the young community appreciates, respects, and honors our police officers, now be it resolved that this week in Yelm will also be known as Police Week, and May 15th will be recognized as Peace Officers Memorial Day. And that by recognizing the work of our law enforcement community, we express unwavering support for our officers and recognize the need to ensure they have the equipment, training, and resources necessary to protect the health and safety of the community and of the officers themselves, and encourage all residents of Yelm to observe Police Week by honoring law enforcement personnel and promoting awareness of the essential mission they undertake in service to our community. On behalf of the grateful council and community. And now we then move into the public comment. And I'll remind people that public comment is the place where if there's something not on the agenda that you'd like to address the council on, this would be the time to do it. And we give people 3 minutes to address the council thusly. And we do have a speaker here, Mr. Hutchison.
That's good.
Yes, please.
Thank you. One of the, we're gonna do the interviews.
Yes.
I understand the COVID rules and everything. Came in, brought my mask. I'm even vaccinated on my first and my second shot. While we're speaking here for just the interviews, can we take our mask down if that person chooses to?
So that would be breaking the policy that we set in order to have an in-person meeting. And we have to maintain the rules for everybody exactly the same.
But by doing so, you're also breaking the Constitution. This is a form of speech. My shirt, I'm wearing my dad's shirt. For me, this represents, somebody I'm not. And if I'm looking to be a member of this council, that's what I'm asking to do.
And you have the opportunity to have your interview done virtually.
Yes,
And abide by
it's
the
not the
rules.
same though.
It's not the same, but you have that option during these unusual times. And we'd ask that you abide by the rules that we set in place to have a safe meeting for all participants.
Okay.
And I understand that your concerns.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, Will. I'm looking at attendees who are not in the room. Is there anybody on the attendee list that would like to address the council on matters not on the agenda? Okay. Then we'll go back to my agenda. We have a consent agenda which consists only of the minutes from the April 27th meeting. Can we approve that?
Move to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
Kaminsky. Need a second? Seconded by Councilmember DePindo. All in favor?
Aye.
Have a consent agenda. Moving on, we will ask Public Service Director Cody Colt to introduce the next business, the new business 6A. I didn't know if you or Pat were going to do the.
I got it.
Okay.
Good evening, council, council applicants, citizens. In front of you is the water system plan update. We talked about this briefly a couple weeks ago, and also we've been adjusting. I'll give you a quick history background. Our slideshow is not currently working, but in 2010, council passed the water systems plan, as you know. In 2016, we were due to update that plan. In the process of updating, we were told by the Department of Health to hold off until water rights were granted. We have now been given the go-ahead because of imminent approval of water rights to go ahead and update our water systems plan. So the contract in front of you is for professional service agreement with RH2 to commence the water system plan with the data they collected in 2016 and update the current data of 2021 to complete the water system plan. I'll be happy to answer any questions you guys may have.
Okay, looking for questions from council. None here in, oh, Councilmember Benham.
Thank you, Mayor. Look through it, looks fine, just basic stuff. Do you have any concerns on it yourself?
No, if you do notice, because RH2 was one who commenced the water system plan in 2016, normally the water system plan costs around $250,000. Because they did a lot of the work in 2016, they were able to lower the price and do some of that work they've already done. So we actually saved quite a bit of money. And council did budget, just so you know, council did budget this in the biennium budget, so it is in there to have this plan done. We expected to do it next year, but why not knock it out this year, right?
That was gonna be my follow-up question.
Thank you.
Councilmember Wood.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I move we authorize Mayor Foster to enter into a professional service agreement with RH2 Incorporated for an amount not to exceed $150,150 for preparation of the 2021 update to the city's water system plan.
Second. PJ Curry.
Seconded by Councilmember Curry. Any other questions, discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Oh,
Question.
Councilmember Kermit, excuse me.
I think it was Blair.
Oh, Blair, Councilmember Blair?
Yeah, real quick. Is this not something that we're able to do within the city ourselves?
Yeah, we don't have the resources or the capital planning to be able to do this. Councilmember Blair, good question. I would love in the future to be able to do something like this, but the third party is the best way for us to do this. We just don't have the expertise to kind of plan out the capital that we'll need to do this.
Okay, and then Cody, in your opinion, is $150,000 a fair price for this?
Yeah, normally, like I mentioned earlier, normally they run about 250,000. The reason we're saving 100,000 is because they did work in 2016 that they're able to use again. So some of the work they did in 2016 is still relevant to this day, so they can use a lot of that to not have to start from scratch.
Okay, thanks.
No problem, Councilmember Blair.
Any other questions for Public Services Director Holt? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you.
And moving right along, I believe it's still you.
Yep. Switch hats on here. Okay. So before council is something that's been a long time coming, our joint animal services, public services agreement. This was supposed to be coming to you guys in January, but we did a trial period with Joint Animal Services of Thurston County. They gave us 3 months free of joint animal services, and because of the great service we've been receiving and the ability to now kind of enter this contract since it's been approved by their committee, we have the contract in front of you for this agreement not to exceed $45,000. This was an estimated price. We actually get to save about $7 grand, so we don't have to pay for the first 3 months they were a trial period. So as you can see, it's everything that we've been talking about. I mean, Public Works Committee has vetted this. We've been shooting for this for, I mean, it's been 9 months now. It's been a long time. So I'm just really glad to finally get the agreement in front of us and start the partnership with Joint Animal Services. I'll be happy to answer any questions. I know council has heard this ad nauseum, so they probably don't need to hear about Joint Animal Services anymore, but it's important. Yes, Councilor.
Thank you. We've been, yeah, as you said, we've been talking about some public works committee for a while. I personally think it's a great idea. I believe it is going to be saving us some money. Could you speak a little bit towards the savings on this?
Yeah, so if council remembers from 2019, 2020, each year our budget for animal services or animal control is about $75,000. That includes overtime, maintenance for the building, food, caring for the animals, along with other things. This contract is $45,000, so we save $30,000 just off our top line for budget, and this is a general fund item. So you're saving $30,000 on the general fund for this, which can go to other things you may have wanted or needed, but it's just a great savings for us. And then it just further strengthens our partnership with all the other Thurston County entities, Lacey, Olympia, Tenino, Tumwater are all part of Joint Animal Services. So we're just partnering with the rest of them and Thurston County too.
I'm gonna go with Councilmember Wood, who had his hand up, and then Councilmember.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Hey, Cody, can you give me a brief understanding of what Joint Animal Services looks like? What exactly are we joining to service, if you will?
Yeah, so Joint Animal Services is a organization set up by the city of Lacey to serve all of Thurston County. The great thing is they also do one thing I didn't mention, but we talked about, is they serve any animal. So horses, dogs, cats, parrots, muskrats, other animals. We can start alligators, whatever you have, they're gonna help service it. Whereas we as a city only did dogs, we couldn't handle anything else, we didn't have training. So Joint Animal Services is just an all-around service agency that works on any animals that may happen. They help with lost pets, they take surrendered pets, they'll try to adopt out pets, they handle complaints, they'll help, rehabilitate pets as well. So it's a great organization that Thurston County, or Lacey has created, and all Thurston County has kind of jumped on board with. So did that answer your question, Councilmember Wood?
Yeah, just in one more follow-up and I'll leave you alone. I'm curious, what will we be using the existing facilities that we have? We'll still be using that for local dog pickups and things like that to contain them until we decide which direction we're going from there, correct?
Yeah, that's a great point, because we do have a new kennel installed last year. Joint Animal Service will be using that kennel as a transition kennel. So if they catch an animal in Bald Hills or in Rainier, they'll bring it to our facility and keep it there for 24 hours and then bring it to their facility in Lacey. That way, if someone in Yelm lost their dog, they don't have to drive all the way to Lacey. An hour later, they can pick it up at our facility in Yelm. So it's kind of a great fit for them too, because now they have a central facility where they don't have to commute back and forth from the facility in Olympia. So, good questions.
Sure.
My question's unanswered.
Councilmember Finn.
Thank you, Mayor. I move to authorize Mayor Foster to sign a public services agreement with Joint Animal Services for animal control services for 2021.
Second.
Motion and seconded by Councilmember Kaminsky. Any other discussion, questions? All in favor? Any opposed? And we have long last have our animal services.
Thank you, Council. Thank you, Mayor. Have a great day. Good luck, guys.
As you leave, is our lobby open?
There's no one out here.
Let's leave the door open then to get a little ventilation going through here. And in fact, EJ, if you'd open that door up too, please. Got a little cross ventilation goes. We haven't had people in here so long, I forgot how stuffy it can get. Thanks, EJ.
Sure.
Okay, this gets to a point that we haven't done in a year or so, which is to appoint someone to an open seat because Councilmember Stillwell had to move out of the city.
Well, he chose to. He didn't have to.
His wife said he had to. They built the house and he was moving in. And so that opened up council position 4. Per council's request, it was advertised for a period of time locally, and a search was put out, and actually we had more applications for this than I think we can remember. And 9 of those applicants are having been vetted by our city staff to make sure that they met the eligibility requirements for the position, which is a registered voter who lives within the city limits of Yelm. Those applications were forwarded to council. Council had an opportunity to peruse them and then have asked the council, the folks who would like to be appointed, the applicants, to come in either physically or virtually to be interviewed further. So we've allotted about 5 minutes per applicant, and we'd ask that you would address the council briefly and then stand for any questions that council members might have. At the end of that, the council will talk about their decision-making process for the appointment. As you came in, I did a randomized selection of who would go first, and that is Holly.
Well, thank you, Mayor, and thank you, council members. And first, thank you for letting me go first, because I do have Alliance commitments. I'll be excusing myself afterwards. But I hope that my application that I turned in, I hope that that explained a lot about me, gave me a perspective of who I am and why I would like to sit on the council. Just to recap briefly, I moved to Yelm in 1995 with my daughter, who was 3 years old. She went through the Yelm school system and graduated from Yelm High School in 2010. I've attended many city council meetings in the past. You probably remember me speaking in the back. And since we went virtual, I've been sitting in my recliner watching them on YouTube. So I've still been watching. As far as credentials, I've lived in the city of Yelm for over 25 years. I've done everything from school booster clubs, garbage cleanup, prairie days, jazz festival. I've even chaperoned middle school dances, which if you've never done that. That's
Holly,
quite enlightening.
I apologize for
Yes.
interrupting. We're finding that the microphone is not picking you up very well. Is there a way you can
Speak loud.
enunciate, project?
Yes, I've never spoken with a mask on either,
You're doing
so I
great.
apologize.
You're doing great. Sorry for the interruption.
And I'm still active in the community through the Lions Club. I sit on their board, and also through the skate park outreach, which is every Tuesday at Yelm Skate Park. I have a general knowledge of how the city runs thanks to the city council meetings. I don't claim to know everything. There's a huge learning curve, and I know that, but I'm up for the challenge. I have a mild-mannered demeanor, meaning I don't fly off the handle easily. I'm able to stay calm in situations. On the other hand, I'm not afraid to have a tough conversation, and I'm not afraid to speak up if something isn't right or I feel something isn't right, respectfully, of course. I believe that my life and work experiences would serve me well. I worked for 38 years at a company, retired in 2018. I was an analyst. So I have a lot of experience researching, brainstorming, coming up with good ideas. And I recently started a part-time job in March of this year. I'm working a few hours in the morning because I was just getting bored, especially during the shutdown. And I know this is not about a popularity contest or who you know. This is really about serving the citizens of Yelm and serving the city, being a voice for the people. I'm more than willing to work hard and put in the time needed to assist in making sound decisions for the city of Yelm and their tax dollars. So I thank you for the opportunity and welcome your questions, maybe, I'm not sure.
We'll see.
Being honest, yeah.
Council, in no particular order, if you have a question for Holly, go ahead and raise your hand or. Councilmember Pinto.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Holly, for coming out and applying. One question that I'm going to ask everyone is, sorry, the first one.
Oh, gotta go.
Is what is one decision that the city of Yelm has made that you disagree with?
Well, I don't know if the decision has been made yet. Can I speak to something that maybe hasn't been finalized?
Sure.
The tiny village homes. I have experience because I worked with the homeless on the streets of Olympia for over 10 years. And you may have remembered I wrote a long letter to the council when you started the homelessness task force a couple of years ago.
All right, can you speak up?
Yeah.
I can barely hear you.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Thank you.
I am not in favor of that personally. I have a heart for people, okay? But seeing what is in Olympia, I know the resources that are down there. I know how it operates. I know what works and I know what doesn't work from personal experience, just being down there volunteering. So that is something that I don't think a decision has been made. I know it was brought up in, I think, February, March. But that is something that I am concerned about as a citizen. Does that help?
Sure, thank you.
Okay, looking up there, I know Councilmember Blair has decided to come in person to the meeting, so he'll be here shortly, but he didn't indicate that he had any questions. Anybody else? Oh, I put my glasses up and then I thought I was raising my own hand. That is not really. Councilmember Carmody.
Yeah, I just have one quick question. Do you intend or have you filed to run for the November election for city council?
I am intending on it. I have not made my final decision. I'm working on that.
Okay, thank you.
Good question.
Councilmember Wood.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I don't really have a question. I have a comment. Based off of what I just listened to you say here, I think regardless of the turnout today, no matter how it happens, I think that the citizens of Yelm would be happy to have you in a race for any number of the council seats that are up and available this next coming election cycle.
Thank you.
Very good. Well, thank you for keeping us on track. Say hi to my friends at the Lions Club.
I will do.
And we'll see you Saturday.
Oh, yes.
For the
That's
open
when
house.
that's when.
Little plugs for the Carlson Cabin
Yes.
Open House refurbishment from 1 to
Yes.
4 on Saturday.
So, enough. Yep,
Thanks, Holly.
thank you.
Okay, next up, and I'm just going to read off the order that I have so people will know when to expect to be called up. And if you're attending as an attendee, our staff will elevate you to a panelist just before it's time for you to address council, so we can limit the number of screens that we have. But the order will now be Will, then Joe, Stefan, Lynn, Kayla, Jelaine, Brian, and Kelsey. So, that's your intro.
Thank you. Hello, I'm Wilbur and Karen Hutchison. I grew up, moved to Washington in like 98, 99, out in Tumwater. Went to Bush Middle School, high school in Tumwater. High school, played sports there, wrestling team, soccer, just involved throughout. And after that, I went in the military, served in the Air Force for 9 years as a staff sergeant, NCO. And going through that system, watching you guys, I never paid attention to politics. So, our last couple of years, but it's the same game, and being in that, I'm able to identify things that, really quick, like the question you asked the woman earlier was, one thing you didn't agree with, which just because I don't agree with it doesn't mean it's not the right call, so I can respect what was called, and having that ability. But it was when Ms. Curry was appointed, it's nothing against you. I think you've been a wonderful company.
Oh, thank you.
But just within 5 minutes of that meeting, I noticed, hey, we got a division here. It's going to end up in a tie. Mayor's going to make the decision, and I respected your decision. But I was able to identify it like that. I'm a dad. I see BS. This world has just got too much. And my wife calls my ideas kind of naive and all that. I was like, it's not that hard. It's just an obstacle. If we can't overcome it ourselves, as single, the collective can't. That's just what I want. Right? I got so many opinions that everyone's heard me on Facebook. If you haven't, argue with me one time. But that's about it. I like to listen to everybody, and I've listened to the community. I've helped resolve issues in the community, even brought up, the chain of command, just like the military. And you don't always have to respect what the call is, but I trust the process. I'm just here to help. If you need me, I'll step up. If not, I'll be doing it on Facebook. So, thank you.
Hang out. There may be some questions for you, Will.
Yep.
Council, do you have any questions for Mr. Hutchison? EJ?
I do. Have you been involved in anything in Yelm
Yes.
since you've been here?
My kids are 8 and 6, and one of our friends was a basketball coach. He needs some help. I stepped up, coached the whole season with him. Probably about it that I can think of. I get involved in a lot of different things. Because I don't have much to do as a stay-at-home dad when my kids were in school. So I was involved in a lot of things. So when COVID hit, we had to make a decision, and since we have the luxury of being a stay-at-home dad, we made the call of taking our kids home and educating them there. But I would love to see them be able to reach out and branch out, for me to branch out, but we can't do that in the state of the end.
Thanks.
Councilmember Carmody?
Yeah, I'm just going to ask the same question that I ask of everybody. Do you intend to file to run in the November election for city council?
I have no intention of it, but I've had a lot of people ask, I've even had people ask for me to run for mayor. I don't have no intention of either currently, but I'm not gonna say I wouldn't if I was needed enough.
Councilmember DePino.
Thank you, Mayor. Well, you already answered my first question, so I'll change it up a little bit. What would be your biggest priority on council? What would you like to see accomplished?
Continuity in the council, you know, like, hey, that rift is there and everyone's kind of friendly, but there's the sides, you know, and it's not even Republican, Democrat, it's just, they're just there. I don't even know how to explain it, you know. But, you know, work together, you know, and I think JW does a good job of that sometimes, but sometimes I feel, you know, he makes a lot of calls when you guys can't, and that is his job. But for me, I think, hey, let's get you guys on board and make the decision instead of having him do it. And just because he has to step up and make that call, it's not his fault, it's your guys' fault. That's what I would say.
Thank you.
That may be the nicest thing you've ever said today.
We're the same people, just different colors.
Well, thank you very much. I don't see any other questions, so appreciate you coming in, taking the time to interview. I appreciate your personal sacrifice for our health and
I have
safety.
the ability to follow.
You're awesome.
You know, so.
And so we will, thank you, and then we will go on to our next one, which is Joe.
Oh, well, it's good to see you guys. You don't know me, my name's Joe Richardson. My mom preferred people call me Joseph. As far as growing up in this community and graduating from Yelm and just being a part of this community since I was a kid, everybody calls me Joe. And so I've gotten used to that. So I must say too, as well, just being in here, and shame on me for not showing up to any city council meetings, but you know, because you guys are doing such a good job, honestly. And so when I found out that there was an open position, I was just kind of, to be honest, you know, you're a little nervous. You're hoping to yourself that, well, I hope that there's more than just one person who applies for it. So somebody doesn't just slide right in with some crazy agenda. And that's just the way I think. Good thing is, I see more than one person here. From what I've heard so far, I think people have some sound mind. And so what I hope for is, as well as being part of the community, and as far as my credentials go, I'm in too many committees already. So I just love this community, and my eyes have kind of been opened to like being involved. There was a while there where I thought I couldn't go to anything where the city had their own mindset of things, but then Matt McClellan invited me to show up at the Leeds at lunch. And it just really transformed my whole perspective on folks who were involved and actually do things. And so then I met Tad Still. I didn't know he was on city council for the first time. And when I saw Tad, I was like, hey, you're on city council? He's like, yeah. I was like, wow, you're a pretty cool guy. You're not even a douchebag. That's what I said to Tad. Tad about choked on his burrito, and he goes, whoa. And I'm like, hey, I'm just saying, like, you know, you have this perception of people who are on council. You have this perception of people who are on the chamber. You have this perception of just, you know, city versus business and whatnot. But until you get involved, you don't know the people personally. But once you get to meet people, you go, you know what? I'm involved in a really good community. I'm involved with some people who actually care about the community. And sometimes I think, like you guys serving on council as well, I don't think you guys want to be there forever. But I think you choose to serve on that position because you're afraid that somebody's going to come in that's not of sound mind, that doesn't make good decisions. Maybe Terry's ready to retire. I don't know. I'm just saying, I'm coming for you. No, I'm just kidding. To answer your question, Marley, I do intend to run in November, but at the same time, if there's somebody that's qualified, then I hope I lose. Because my hope is that we always put our best candidate forward, and there always should be options. There always should be options. It shouldn't just be, well, I gotta vote for this guy because he's the only one that turned out for the job. And so it's like, just give us some options, you know? And so when I see here are some options, and so I appreciate you guys. I don't think your work is easy, and so you have to put up with a lot of things, but I've kind of learned to appreciate the community, so, yeah. Questions?
Questions for Joe? Councilmember DePino.
First question, and thank you for coming out.
Yeah.
Funny speech. I like that you made it a little bit light times. Same question for others though, what would be your one, if you had to choose something to disagree with the city, a choice that was made by the city, what would it have been?
Well, I'd have to lean on to my 5-year-old. Or maybe it's not you guys' decision completely, but, you know, the splash park, man. We're trying to find the splash park. He's like, look, it's not open, son. It's closed, COVID. It's not open, it's closed. And I'm thinking to myself, well, you just wash COVID out, you know? But I know the water's filtered, so whoever, but as long as dogs stay off the pool. But anyways, I don't know if that's your decision or if that's a mandate from the state, but, yeah.
Fair enough, thank you.
Welcome, Councilmember Blair.
Hello.
Thank you. for
I
coming.
couldn't hear anyone, and I felt like you guys at least deserved me to come in for this.
No trouble hearing James Joe, was there, Molly?
I think it was my phone.
No, he projects well. Any other questions for Joe? Oh, okay, thank you very much. We'll move on to Steph. Steph, you know, I would like to try something, actually. I hope this might work. I'm gonna move the dais a little closer to this device and see if maybe that picks up your voice a little bit. These guys will hear each other.
All right. Hello, and thank you for having me today. My name is Stephanie Burney, and in a half years, I have been working in state government. We just recently moved to Yelm in February. And so our kids have newly enrolled in schools here and are fully integrated into the community. Well, as soon as sports and things are not really fully integrated. About 7 years ago, we did purchase some property out in Gold Hills, and we knew ultimately that the end goal was to merge to Yelm. My husband was born and raised here. He is very familiar with the town. Last year, you know.
Sorry, we can't hear you.
In 2019,
There you
we
go.
started to try to integrate our families a little bit further into the community. And we did enroll our son in basketball and our daughter in gymnastics. We were doing, you know, from Olympia to Yelm, just as we were trying to kind of get a little bit more familiarized here, especially for the kids being young. They're all in elementary school now. Next year will be our first middle schooler, so that's going to be an adjustment. But what isn't? Over my history in state government, my background has primarily been in strategic planning and kind of organizational change management. I've had a specific focus on employee engagement, innovation, trying to, you know, allow people to have a voice within the agency. And when COVID hit, I was kind of thrown straight into a upper level management position for COVID. So in February of 2020, I was appointed the deputy director of COVID testing, and really quite a change in a very positive way now moving back. I mean, a lot to handle at the time, but doing a lot of like, local health jurisdiction engagement, ensuring that they're trying to get as much testing in the areas of need as possible. And once we moved here, my son actually was like, because I had a lot of meetings with the governor's office, and you know, huge political stance just on COVID as a whole. So making sure everyone the objectives and ensuring that we were, you know, meeting those middle hurdles in order to get that end result. And he was like, "Oh, you should run for governor, and you should, you know, you do whatever else." And I'm not a public speaker or a political person. I never thought that I was myself even going for a political position. And I think what you learn in being in that type of an environment is that you have a chance to actually make a difference, to have a say, to do something that is self-rewarding, even if it's not always seen as cohesive as it could be. And so when we moved to Yelm and all of the kids were starting to go to school and whatever else, and I saw this position available, I was like, you know what, I think I'm going to try a little bit of the help that I've given to Washington State be embedded in a community that I choose.
I'm here. I wasn't sure what kind of credentials you were actually looking for. I did bring a green belt certification, a project coordination certification, a water bill, so I knew you have to live in city limits. And then I also did pass a crucial conversation.
Thank you. Council, have questions for Steph? Councilmember Blair?
Quick clarification, right at the beginning, did you say you just moved into city limits February of this year? Unfortunately, I don't think that's,
I don't
you wouldn't
think
be
you're
qualified.
However, Councilmember Blair is right. You would have to be eligible, you would have to be living in the city limits for 1 year at the time of appointment, which would be now. However, if you filed, you would be, for one of
No,
no, you still wouldn't, because it would be February of next year. So this is very good practice for you. But at this point,
That being said, like everything you said you've done, like props, especially working in state government, I couldn't do that. So like, that's all very impressive and you have a lot of experience. And me personally, I hope you keep coming through. Because there's a lot of stuff at that level that I myself would have no idea what was going on. And I wish that wasn't the case, but yeah, you have to be within city limits for 12 months.
Well, I think it would be great if you would get involved in one of our other
Yeah.
positions that we're doing. Like 5 other things.
Yeah, there's lots of vacancies along a lot of committees.
we do that. And if you go to the City of Yelm webpage, we've updated that. There's a really easy application that you can use to apply for any of our boards and commissions that you qualify for. I apologize if we missed that really important residential factor when we were vetting your application, but thank you so much for being part of the process.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
So staff just came in with a brilliant idea that maybe the microphone was turned down. Can you say a few words, Brianna?
Can you hear me better now, Molly?
Councilmember Carmen, can you hear her better than the previous speaker?
I can't hear anybody right now.
You can't hear me at all?
Barely, barely, barely.
Well, that didn't work.
And my volume is turned all the way up.
How about now?
Much better.
Okay. I'm sorry, everyone. I have to fix the automatically adjust.
Okay, so
I guess if you're just up here, you have to speak really loud, because we can hear them, kind of yell at them, I guess. Even though it might be uncomfortable, but.
pretend you're talking to your kids.
Yeah, oh, that's perfect. That's a better one.
Okay. I think, Molly, we good? Better?
Yeah, so who is this? I'm sorry, I can't.
This was JW, can you hear me?
Yeah, who's the applicant?
There's nobody standing there right now. I haven't introduced them.
I think she was asking who was the applicant.
So the applicant that was just up was Stefan.
Yeah, no, I know that, yeah.
Now we're going on to Lynn, Roy.
J-Dub, can you move the podium back? Because we can't see anybody on at the podium.
Cody's got it.
Yeah, wait like 10 seconds.
Wait. Can you see it now?
Wait for it.
No, there's quite a delay, so give it a second to catch up. Cody's just getting up to go move it.
No.
There you go.
Oh, that's perfect. Someone hired me.
No, that's perfect.
Okay. Hold on. And so, oh, there she is. So cleverly disguised as Brianna on our screen is actually our next applicant, Lynn Roy, previously known to us as Lynn Critchfield. Lynn?
Hello, are you able to hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay, excellent. Thank you. Good evening, counselors, administration, staff, community members, and Mayor Foster. Thank you for inviting me in to speak this evening. Like JW said, my name is Lynn Roy, and I am seeking appointment to the Yelm City Council. I moved to Yelm in 2011, thanks to the US military and Yelm's proximity to JBLM, and immediately fell in love with the city. Its small town feel is reminiscent of the Montana town in which I was raised, with all the amenities of the larger communities I also called home. In 2014, I became more involved with the city, taking a position with the Yelm Chamber of Commerce and Jason's Greenhouse, then the Prairie Hotel, before coming full circle and landing back at the chamber as executive director in 2016. Since then, I have plugged myself into community groups, including Yelm Dollars for Scholars, Citizens for Support of Yelm Schools. I helped Yelm Prairie Christian Center with their food gives, coached a season of cheerleaders with the Thurston County Youth Football League, worked with the South Thurston Economic Development Initiative and the Washington Center for Women in Business, among others. And as far as community events go, I believe I have a near perfect attendance record. I am fully invested in Yelm. I've spent the last decade living here, and in those 10 years, I've seen Yelm grow and change, and Yelm has seen me grow and change with it. I love this city, and I want it to continue being a place that I am proud to call home. I believe it is time for me to give more of myself to this community. As the executive director of the Yelm Chamber, I know the challenges of balancing budgets and finding solutions to stretch limited resources to achieve maximum benefit. I liken my experience at the chamber to the experience that I'll need serving on a council. I work for not one boss, but a board of 12 different personalities, 12 different ways of thinking, 12 different opinions. I've learned to work with people, create teams, and facilitate success for all. Our council needs positive leaders to keep us moving in the right direction. We need leaders who are committed to civility, dedicated to positive problem solving, and passionate about our city as a whole. My goal is, as a council member, include encouraging our local economy by advocating and promoting Yelm as a business-friendly community, promoting the beautification and use of our downtown corridor, and supporting sustainable growth without compromising the spirit of this city. Yelm is a vibrant city that offers a unique quality of life. As a council member, I will never forget that I serve all the citizens of Yelm. I will listen to their opinions and keep focused on what is right for our city. I thank you for this opportunity, and I hope that you will trust me to join your team as a servant leader. I look forward to serving with you as we grow our city. I will now entertain questions.
You just about got a standing ovation from the other applicants just now. Questions from council? I see Councilmember Pino's hand.
Thank you, Mayor.
And Molly's.
Thank you, Lynn, for coming in and zooming in with us. I was wondering, same question for everyone else. What is one decision the city of Yelm's made that you disagree with?
You are a little bit hard to hear. I apologize, but I'm assuming that you're asking what decision I've disagreed with. I got a little extra second to think about this, while everyone else was speaking. But as a member of council, I believe that it's important to show a united front. Since it is a collective vote, and as such, when we speak publicly, I think that we speak as one. I might privately disagree with a decision that's been made, but I think it's important to put your personal feelings aside and stand behind the council members who may have voted differently than I would have.
Thank you.
Councilmember Carmody.
Yeah, hi. My question is, you sound like a very, very busy person. Are you going to stay on as the director of the chamber? And, do you think that you're going to have enough time for this job?
Yes. Thank you.
Any other questions for Lynn? Councilmember Pino.
Thank you, Mayor. You mentioned one of your objectives was to promote Yelm as a business-friendly community. What's one way right now that we can make Yelm a more business-friendly city?
I think we've made incredible strides. I think in the 10 years that I have lived here, and the 7 years that I've been involved with the business community, I think it has been incredible, where we are from where we have been. I think one of the things that we can do to continue promoting Yelm as this business friendly community, and probably one of the easiest things that we can do is Councilmember DePinto, something that you do that I really respect. You are in the businesses asking how you can help. And I think if we had more council members who were doing that, who are, talking to those businesses daily, weekly, monthly, quarterly, and saying, this is what we're offering you now. What are we missing? What are we close to the target on? How can we help get you there? And I think having more voices who are in that business sense, who are serving on the council, is only going to help to make those businesses feel seen, feel heard, feel welcomed. And I commend you for the work that you do to promote that. And I look forward to joining you.
Councilmember Kaminsky.
Hi, Lynn. I want to ask Molly's question. Are you intending to file in the next election?
Yes, I will be filing next week.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions for Lynn? Okay, then we will thank Lynn. Thank you, Lynn. And we will ask the next candidate, Kayla, to address, and I believe he needs to be brought up from the attendees. Brianna. There she is. Slight lag. Councilmember Carmody, question?
Yeah, I have a quick question. Maybe this would help if the applicant can actually park themselves in front of the computer right next to JW and be Brianna Feller for a little while. And that way they can come and talk into the computer, because we really honestly can't hear anything that people are saying when they're standing at the podium. It's really difficult.
Do you hear me any better, Molly?
I can hear you. I just can't hear when they're talking at the podium.
The problem is that the PCs in the room have to be muted, otherwise there'd be a feedback loop with the speaker system in here. So we can't fix that with the technology that we have with us today.
Got it.
The virtual candidates are being held better. If they wanted to step out into the lobby and log in on their phone, they might do better. But the council came in here in great numbers to listen tonight. We'll just ask them to try to project. And if we could ask Kayla to turn on her video if she wishes, or she could begin to address the council whenever she's ready. But she is muted.
Is that better?
There you go. Welcome.
I did it. Good evening, council, Mr. Mayor. Lynn is amazing, and I'm not really sure where to start after that one. I've lived in the Yelm area my entire life. My kids go to school here. I graduated from here. I love to see the growth of Yelm that we're experiencing while maintaining that whole hometown feel. That's what I would like to see continue most. I don't really know where to go after that, so let's just do questions.
Councilmember DePinto has a question.
Thank you, Mayor. Hi, Kayla, thank you for coming in or zooming in. Same question for everyone else. What's the decision the city's Yelm made that you disagree with?
Well, I think a couple of the other applicants had already hit on a few points that I was going to talk about, but I'm going to go with parking at Longmire on this one. I disagree with that. That's my stance.
Could you elaborate a little bit on that one?
Parking at Longmire is terrible. I don't know if you have been there while a baseball weekend is happening or even a baseball day. There's 3 baseball fields, which means that there's 2 teams per field. While I was on the board for Nisqually Basin, it was a disaster trying to figure out how we could get all of the athletes in, plus their family, and then there's soccer going on. We're trying to be mindful of that, and there's just really, it's a mess.
Thank you, Caleb.
Other questions for Caleb? Councilmember Curry, and then Harmony.
Kayla, could you tell me what you've been involved in the community? Besides the Valley Basin, working with that's a big commitment, I know, but anything else?
So in the community, I pre-COVID was very involved in my children's school. I did a lot of their functions and helped their teachers privately. I right now am in talks with DOT about getting our roundabout coming into Yelm from the Redwind area pretty. It's kind of a disaster, and so I just want to like get that cleaned up. So I'm working on that. I do run a community Facebook page. I don't know if that's really applicable, but it's what I do. I try to keep it community focused and community positive.
Great, thanks.
Yeah, my question is the same as all the other ones. Do you intend to file to run for any of the open seats in November?
I do. I tend to file next week.
Any other questions for Caleb? Then we will thank you for zooming in tonight. And next up is Jelaine, who is with us in person. So come on up, and I hope that we have better luck hearing.
Try to project. Hopefully y'all can hear. My name is Jelaine McAtee. I'm a registered nurse. I've been a nurse for a little over 12 years. And I'm super stoked to tell you that I'm in the midst of my internship, finishing up my degree to be a psychiatric mental health nurse practitioner. For now, though, I currently am employed down on base. I'm a nurse embedded into special forces, where my primary goals are to manage complex care, high acuity, polytrauma type cases. Love my job, it's pretty great. I own 2 properties here within Yelm city limits, and actually co-founded a nonprofit organization here in the city back in 2019. Let's speak up, my bad, I got you. As far as like my accomplishments and like my credentials and stuff, like I hope my application kind of speaks to some of that. What I really want to impress upon you though is why I'm here and why I want to be involved in this. And really like the simplest way I can boil it down to is community. I am the product of moving out as a young teenager. I'm the product of pursuing my teens very young. And I fully recognize that my life was just one bad decision away from not being in front of you today and for not asking for this opportunity. I attribute where I'm at today humbly to the community that I was in at the time, for the resources that they provided, for the decisions that they made, for the investment that they put into the school and into partnerships that helped me get to where I'm at today. And it's not just my desire to be here in front of you. So that's definitely there, but this is a responsibility. And this is something that I carry and I'm super passionate about because somebody did that for me. And I want to be able to invest that and put that back into the community. I want my kids to know that the community and the trajectory that you're on in life, like that can have such an impact. And I want to be part of that. And I want to, kind of relate to you guys as well that if you ever question if what you do on this council matters, if the decisions that you've made, the votes you've cast, the briefs that you've listened to, if it's made a difference, like let me be that evidence for you. because it absolutely does, it matters. And because I'm a product of that, and that's what I hold to, and that's what I want to invest and what I want to give back to this community. Any questions?
Questions for Jelaine? Councilmember Kaminsky?
Thank you for that, Jelaine.
Yes.
Does your job require you to have certain hours of where you work on base? I don't know if you work on base. But
I do work on base. However, due to COVID, I'm largely teleworking right now. And so very, very blessed, especially with the young kiddo in school, having been able to kind of help in that aspect has been pretty great.
So you're not restricted with your time?
No,
You can be flexible?
Yes.
Okay, I wish I would have asked Lynn that question, but I forgot. But yes, thank you.
Good question.
Thank you.
Councilmember DePinto and then Carly.
Thank you, Mayor. Same question. What's a decision that city council made that you would disagree with?
You know, if I'm gonna disagree with you, I better have an alternative. Otherwise, I'm just complaining. And so I'm gonna remain neutral on that question, and I'm gonna say I don't have anything, because without knowing the resources, right, having all the information on the table about why that decision was made and what brought you to that point, and the outcome of it, I don't think that's fair for me to say.
Sure. How about a follow-up? Was there any decision you would question, let's say?
Okay, you know, again, without having that information, it's really hard to say. I'm interested in learning more, I guess, you know, especially about like the infrastructure and the growth that's coming to Yelm. I'm definitely intrigued by that. But yeah.
Thank you.
Councilmember Carmody?
Yeah, so first of all, are you planning on running or filing to run for a seat in the upcoming election?
That is my intention. Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And second, I thought I heard you say that you have a nonprofit here in town. Is
I
that,
co-founded a nonprofit organization. Yes, ma'am.
oh, which one is it?
We're called Canine Companion Coaching. We provide service dog training to veterans and non-veterans within the community.
Cool. All right. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Any other questions for Jelaine? Excellent. Thank you very much.
Thank you, guys.
And we will ask the next candidate, Brian, who's also here.
Molly, can you hear me okay? Mayor, council members, thank you for this opportunity. I would like to say that most of you have asked me questions before with the other seat that had been open, and I will go ahead and kind of refresh some memories on that. I've been in Yelm since 2004 when the military dropped me here after 25 years of service. Well, not 25 years, that point was about 18, somewhere around there. I stayed in Yelm, and one of my passions is politics, and I like to see how governments work and how things operate, budgets and decision making. So I've followed Yelm since 2004. In particular, when I saw water bills being as high as they were, I was kind of curious why the high cost. So I studied that. I studied a lot of things that go on with Yelm. I observe and I actually read the budgets once a year, right before you get ready to start voting on them. If I have a question about the budget, I start reaching out. I reach out to Public Works if it deals with that, or I'll reach out to a council member to find out, hey, what's going on? So I try to stay very involved in reference to that. Involvement within the community. I had my kids. I was very much involved in their sports activities, their school activities. I worked with Dollars for Scholars for a while, helping with raising funds and being part of that organization and seeing how it ran. I've also worked very closely with veterans. Having been 25 years, I worked with the SFA, Special Forces Association, and I'm very proud to that, with the fact that I live in a community that's not only military friendly, but First Special Forces Group happens to be this community's parent, or not parent, but their co-unit that they work with. So it's always fun when I see activities like that. I know that some concerns for some people are, is this just a placeholder position for a couple of months until election's done? I do plan to file. I also plan, I don't see this as a placeholder. I heard that discussion last week on your study session, and I disagree. This is not a placeholder. And if you're going to put somebody here as a placeholder, then you're doing a disservice to the community. Because now you're leaving it up to somebody who's not really prepared to start making decisions with you on day one. I also know that each one of you has your own special things that you care about. I know that Councilmember Kaminsky very much involved with trying to make area beautification, making town look good, presentable, and bring businesses in. Joe, you're constantly out there looking for improving the business community as well as keeping people informed, as well as being fiscally conservative. Councilmember Curry, same with you. You very much involved with the senior center and some of that community element there. Councilmember Blair, you're trying to watch the budget and make sure things are being done correctly and appropriately for the taxpayers, as well as you are aware of trying to make sure that things don't get passed that shouldn't be. In other words, that the role of government is what the role of government should be, which is the individuals have a lot to say. The role of government only becomes involved when there's an issue. And for Councilmember Carmody, I know one of your big issues is the environment. You asked the question last time, should public works be set the example for protecting the environment and doing the ecosystem of Yelm? And I agree with you, it should. We should be doing things like that. As I said, I do plan to run. Councilmember Pinto, your question that you're going to ask, I would say the one that comes to mind is the decision to build the community center. It went up for 2 public votes. Twice the public said no, and yet it was brought up a 3rd time, and to get it past the city residents voting on it, you lowered the cost. Now, I am glad we have it, but what disappoints me and the decision that was made was not to be LEED certified. That was a failure of this council, the mayor, the city government to set the example of what to do in reference to the ecosystem, the environment, and everything else. So hopefully I've answered everybody's questions to a certain point. I'm open for more questions.
We have 30 seconds left. If there's any question he has left unanswered, Councilmember Pinto, then Curry.
Excuse me, the question, the answering questions, portions also timed as well?
We had allotted 5 minutes, and everyone else so far has been under that 5 minutes, but you can do whatever you want, Council.
Sure. First of all, very impressed by your knowledge, not only of the council members and the profiles of us, if you will, but also the answer with the community center being voted down twice and still moving forward with it, the smaller footprint. My question is, what would be your biggest priority moving forward if you got in this position?
Biggest priority, if brought onto the city council, is to get so that the community, one, become a little bit more transparent, actually reaching out to the community a lot more, trying to find a way that we as an organization can actually be there for the community, to have an actual town hall meeting in the sense of where it's not an agenda, maybe we can teach something, that is open questions. Because there's a lot of people out there that have a lot of questions, and they're looking for that avenue for that. The other agenda would be to find a way to bring in more businesses, and it's the smaller businesses. Not the big businesses, not the national chains or anything else like that, but more of the smaller businesses. We're very successful as a community with that. The Gastro has done a wonderful job with their the masonry ship lab. We have a lot of small businesses, and we just need to continue to find a way to bring those in so that we become not just a bedroom community and a drive-through community, but a destination community. One that people from Lacey, Olympia, and maybe even as far north as Seattle come just to visit a particular restaurant or venue. Thank you.
Councilmember Curry.
I just want to compliment you on your mask. It's the best one in here.
He just have his cougar mask with him.
I don't want a cougar mask.
There is no cougar.
That's right.
Any other questions for Brian? Thank you very much. We will thank our final applicant for tonight as she gets elevated. Chelsea, thank you for your patience, and it's your opportunity to address council.
Can you hear me okay?
We can hear you, but we can't see you.
Perfect. Is that okay?
It's fine. That's fine.
Awesome. Hi, everyone. My name is Kelsey Dotson Carter, and I just want to say thank you so much for this opportunity and shout out to all the applicants. There were 10 of us. 10. And that's really awesome to know that there are other people in our community just like me who want to make a change. I want to start off by saying that I want to serve on the Yelm City Council because everyone deserves a seat at the table. I feel compelled to use my voice to bring positive change into the world, and change starts at home, and Yelm has always been home for me. I grew up here. I'm a Prairie Panther. Mr. Eisenhart was my principal. I was taught by Mr. Berg. I graduated from YHS in 2008. I went to CWU where I received my bachelor's in print journalism, and after college, I moved back to Yelm. I moved back. Not a lot of people do that when they move away. But like I said, Yelm has always been home, and I wanted to build my life here. So I started a small business called K11 Designs, which focuses on graphic design and social media marketing for small businesses. And then I became a shift supervisor at Starbucks. I love serving this community, and Starbucks allows me to do that through coffee. Now, the Starbucks mission statement is to nurture the human spirit, one person, one cup, one neighborhood at a time. It's so much more than coffee, and that's what I love about it. Starbucks gives me that platform to inspire, just like this city council position would. I would like to use my love for this town, my people-focused, team-oriented attitude, and my voice to bring positive change to the Yelm City Council, which means more transparency between Yelm and its citizens. I would love to see a town meeting happening, and I would love to see more boards, committees, and commissions that represent all of us. I'm a breath of fresh air. I don't have any special interests that may sway my votes and agendas, and I want to represent the younger vote and get the younger generation involved and inspired in local politics. I look forward to collaborating and working with all of you and creating a better future for Yelm because everyone really does deserve a seat at the table. Thank you so much.
Questions for Kelsey? Councilmember Fitto?
Thank you, Mayor. Kelsey, thank you. What is one thing with the city that you would disagree with? What decision city's made in the past that you would disagree with?
Yeah, I don't think it's a certain decision, but I think it's the way that those decisions are made. I sometimes feel like there's a lack of transparency. The council doesn't often answer those who, what, whens, and whys for the Yelm citizens. So I disagree with that, and I would like to start answering those who, what, whens, and whys for the citizens.
Thank you, Kelsey.
Yeah.
Councilmember Carmody?
So same question for everybody else. Are you planning on filing to run, or have you already?
I do plan to run, and my hashtag is KDC for YCC. So keep an eye out for that.
Any other questions for Kelsey? Okay.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. The last applicant did not respond to multiple emails to confirm their presence at tonight's meeting, the invitation to join tonight's meeting. And so that's the end of the candidates that you have before you, council. Councilmember Fitto.
Thank you. Who was that candidate?
Charlene Jones.
Thank you.
And so the agenda now would allow the council to, it's kind of open. Council can decide on what they want to do at this point. You have several options, and I'll leave it up to you to discuss what you'd like to do next as far as following a process to appoint one of these applicants to the open position. Councilmember Fitto?
Thank you, Mayor. I do believe we're moving on to updates. I don't believe there's anything on the agenda, and being that it's old business, at this point, I believe we have to file this under new business if we're going to make a motion, if that's what we're intending, or suggesting that we would make a motion to select someone tonight.
I'm leaving it up to council on what you'd like to do. What I haven't heard yet from council, and so I have no way to support you on this other than I've got you listed on future agendas up until the end of the time that the council has to make the decision, and then of course it would go to the county commissioners. So the council here has an opportunity to suggest that we take this to continue this next meeting or do whatever action you'd like. I see Councilmember Carmody's hand up, and then I'll go back to you, Councilmember Levin.
Thank you, Mayor.
Yeah. Well, first of all, am I on? I can never tell. Okay. Yeah. So God, you guys, everybody was really good. I'm so happy and so impressed with everybody. I'm blown away by the quality of the people that have applied. I cannot make a decision tonight. I honestly cannot make a decision tonight. I would like to suggest that we give ourselves, you know, a couple of days to think about it. I know that all of the applicants are eager to, you know, kind of find out as quickly as possible, but I really think that we need some time to think about this. So I'm going to suggest that we don't make a decision until next council meeting, or other people have suggested scheduling a special council meeting. So I'm up with either of those ideas, but I can't make a decision tonight.
Okay, I'm gonna go back to Councilmember, Capetto, and then I'll go with Councilmember Wood and then Blair.
Thank you, Mayor. At our May 4th one, I thought we had decided to not decide, but give indication to yourself and others. Tonight would be for the city council interviews for the applicants, and then the 25th would be the actual vote. But perhaps I missed that in the meeting, or the minutes.
At the study session, multiple options were discussed, and that's why we put it on all future agendas, and it's still actually the council's decision. Your opportunity to come to consensus on what process you want to use, or, you know, whatever you'd like to do. This is a council decision, and I'm going to move on to Councilmember Carmody and then Wood, and then we can come back and have more discussion points. It was Councilmember
Blair.
Let's go to Councilmember Blair. I thought it was
Two-part. First, is it appropriate to have that more detailed discussion in executive session or open?
we didn't schedule an executive session.
I know we didn't schedule one.
But yeah, just for your history, previous councils didn't want to do this in an executive session. They wanted it to be an open discussion about the candidates, just for history's sake.
Okay. Second, I agree with Councilmember Carmody. I wouldn't want to vote tonight, but on the flip side, I wouldn't want to do it after filing week either. So I kind of like the idea of doing a special meeting, and that being next week on Tuesday. I don't know where you guys are at on that. But me personally, I don't like the idea of doing it after filing week, because then we know who's filed. And like I've said from the get-go, I don't like the whole idea of feeling like we're putting our voice into who people should vote for in November. So, I mean, if we're gonna appoint someone, I want it done before filing week's over. My own personal view.
Councilmember Wood.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. You know what? I'm just going to repeat what I repeated in the other meeting. I just think it's kind of wrong to hold off on this thing just because we are coming right up against filing week, and whether that was a mistake we made in not moving quicker on this earlier or not is irrelevant at this point. At this point, I think that we've all had an opportunity, those of us that wanted to take the opportunity to read through these applications, and that we've also had an opportunity to listen to all of these candidates. I just think that it would be in the best interest of everyone involved here, including the county who's trying to run an election, to give, to get the ball rolling on this thing. However, I have to agree with Councilmember Blair that if nothing else, at worst, I think we should at least have a special meeting next Tuesday just for the sole purpose of making that appointment, and not creating an entire agenda from there. But ultimately, I believe this is something, it's our responsibility. We've been given a wealth of information, and I believe had plenty of time to process, who we're dealing with and who's interested in the position and for what reasons they're interested, and who would, in each of our opinions, would best fit the position to move forward.
Councilmember Kaminsky.
I just wanted to ask, is the only way for us to talk together is if we're just in executive session? Is the only way?
Or openly.
But I mean in private. We can't talk in private.
Correct. You have to have either an open public meeting, or you can you can hold an executive session for the purpose of discussing the qualifications for an applicant for a council position. That is allowed.
We could do that anytime we all three.
If you would agree on a time for a special meeting, I'll ask Lori Lucas, our clerk, if we have time to advertise for and hold a special meeting on the 18th as was suggested.
Yes, we do.
Okay, so that is an option open to council. Councilmember Carney. Oh, I'm sorry. I was going to go back to Councilmember Zeno first, then go to Molly.
Thank you, Mayor. First of all, yeah, I agree with everyone. We have a really good candidate pool, and you know, honestly, last few, I probably couldn't say this and whatever, but I would honestly be good with any single one of you as a member of this council. I think everyone's very well qualified. I was very impressed by everything, by vast majority of everything y'all said. But with that being said, I don't want to make a decision tonight, and I know that, you know, it does impact you greatly for if you're gonna file next week and all that. But I do believe if you hold off one day on Monday, it'd still be a good decision for not only yourselves, but for the council as well to make. And with that, I move to hold a special meeting for the city council on Tuesday, the 18th at 6 p.m. with the sole purpose of selecting a city council for selecting the city council applicant for the vacant city council seat.
Those are simple.
Second.
There's a motion to hold a special meeting on the 18th, as proposed by Councilmember DePinto, was seconded by Councilmember Blair. Is there any discussion on the motion? Councilmember Carmody, is that hand for the previous discussion, or would you like to comment on the motion?
It's just a general procedural comment. The executive session, how we were saying that it's to review qualifications. As far as I can tell, every single person here is qualified. A qualification is that they have lived in the city of Yelm for a year and that they are registered to vote here. Those are the only two qualifications that we're allowed to discuss at the executive session, not whether or not we like them or whether or not they, you know, have more ability or experience in the city. That's not a qualification. A qualification is time lived in the city and registered to vote. So just wanted to throw that out there.
Councilmember Pino.
Thank you, and just to be clear, this is not a executive session. This would be a public meeting.
No. It's for the executive.
I motion for a special meeting, public meeting for the decision making, yes. To make the decision on this.
Yeah, no,
We discuss in the executive.
Yeah, I would agree.
Okay, Councilmember Kaminsky.
I seem to recall a time when we were in this position and everybody left and went behind the curtain and came back because everybody got to talk off camera together and make a consensus opinion and go back and declare the position.
Prior to 2015.
So I'm not in a position to do an interpretation of the RCW that gives us the opportunity to hold executive sessions. It simply states that one of the reasons you can hold an executive session is to discuss the qualifications of a candidate for a political office. That's maybe up to interpretation by this council, but the previous opinion of this council and once before has been to have these discussions openly to provide transparency in a process that might otherwise be considered backdoor and behind closed doors if done in an executive session. So you do have a motion to hold a public meeting on the 18th at 6 p.m. I believe you said, Joe?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And that's the motion that you're discussing now and we'll be voting on shortly. Is there any more discussion about that motion? Then we will call a roll call vote, please, so we can document this. Good. So on the question of holding a special meeting on May 18th at 6 p.m. for the purpose of deciding the appointment of a position for Councilmember Blair. How do you vote?
Aye.
Councilmember Perry?
Who? Me or Molly?
Oh,
Yeah.
I'm going, Councilmember Carmody?
Aye.
Councilmember Perry?
Aye.
Councilmember Wood?
No.
Councilmember DePinto?
Aye.
Councilmember Kaminsky?
Aye.
Okay, motion passes. And we will direct staff to do the necessary advertising. And of course, we'll send that link out to all of the candidates. You're welcome to attend this. I would expect, I'll ask the council now, do you intend to ask more questions of the candidates at that meeting, or are you simply going to discuss and make your appointment? And the reason I ask this is for the edification of the applicants on whether they'll attend that meeting or not.
I'm not speaking for the entire council, but for me, I have the information, I believe, and if I need more, I can absolutely reach out to individual applicants prior to next week. So no, it would just be a vote for me.
Okay. Is that the understanding from the rest of the council? This will be simply a discussion amongst the council and then an action item to appoint somebody to position 4. Okay, then we'll do it. As for the candidates, note that filing week starts Monday, the 17th, and ends at 5 p.m. on the 4 p.m. on the 21st. And so, and there's no bonus points for filing early. Just so long as you get in under the wire, you'll be considered for the ballot. There are 4 positions that are open, plus the mayor's position. And so we encourage you to look at those different positions. If you have any further questions about what any of those positions entail, what they require of you, please give me a call. Or City Administrator Graham would be happy to answer those questions for you. Otherwise, we'll look forward to the council's decision Tuesday night, which would still give all of you an opportunity to file for one of those positions. All right, that finishes that piece of business. Thank you, everybody. We will now go on to our agenda updates, and we'll start with City Administrator Graham.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Council, and good evening to all the council applicants. I just want to echo how impressive it was to see all the different applicants tonight. You guys are absolutely top-notch and great representatives of the community, and we look forward to working with whoever the council chooses. I'll keep my updates short tonight out of respect for time. I know you've been doing a lot of listening tonight, and I'll send out something in writing later, but wanted to hit a couple of points, especially with the people that are watching on TV and maybe paying attention to this. We just want to emphasize the importance of volunteering and stepping up and making a positive difference. And if you happen not to have lived and made the residency requirements, there's still plenty of other opportunities to get involved with boards and commissions. And I just wanted to give you an update. So we currently have vacancies on the Parks Advisory Committee. There's 3. The Tree Advisory Board, there's 5. The Historic Preservation Commission, there's 4. Library Advisory Board, there's 5. Arts Commission, there's 5 vacancies. Police Advisory Committee, there's a couple. And the Civil Service, we need City of Yelm residents of at least 3 years immediately preceding the appointment. So lots of opportunities for people to volunteer and make a positive difference in the community that you all clearly want to make. So encourage people to apply and look at that information on the website. A couple of other highlights for you, Council. We talked last time about pursuing federal funding through Congressman Strickland's office. We're now working with the Senate and making those same requests with the Senate as they go through federal appropriations in response to COVID and the Relief Act. And so we'll be working with Senator Murray and Senator Cantwell on the same appropriation request that we made to Congressman Strickland. So more details to come there. We're really excited to be one of the finalists for the 10 proposals that Congressman Strickland will advance in the House. We hope to be one of those chosen ones that the Senate will advance as well. They don't have the same restrictions that they do in Congress, so please stay tuned. The deadline for that is the 14th, and our request will mirror what Congressman Strickland put forward, and that was support for the HCP
land acquisition. Really excited to have Stephanie on board. She is the individual that we went through and interviewed for the finance director position. I got ahead of myself. I was going to thank Councilmember Carmody for sitting in on those interviews. Really excited to have her on board. It's day 2. We'll be scheduling a finance committee meeting at the study session. We will be scheduling an update for all of you on the work that the independent auditor and accountant has done, coming in looking at our books as far back as 2009. Give you that update, where things sit with ending fund balance, the beginning fund balance, and then what our next steps are for the quarterly budget adjustment now to get us back on track, both with the quarterly budget adjustment and finalizing the 21-22 budget book formally, which you acted on in December. You adopted the numbers, we have a budget, but there's an extra housekeeping process that's really important, which is to finalize that budget book. And so that'll have to be done. That's one of the first things that she has on our list. So really excited to have her on board. The other thing, just wanted to give 2 more updates, just the things that you see happening out in the community. When you go to Cochran Park, I know you've all been updated on what's happening and why that matters. There was a great idea the mayor had of posting signs and working with our communications team and public works to put a QR code. So for people that are not tracking what's happening out there at the park, they can walk up to the sign, scan a QR code, it'll take them to a link on their website, and they can get the latest information that we're pushing out. So just one more communication tool just to share information and the good things that are happening and the improvements at Cochran Park. The last thing is an update on what's happening at Yelm City Park. You may notice backhoes and trenches being dug out there, and that's because we're adding more electrical resources to power up the Christmas in the Park lights that everyone enjoyed this last season. We realized there were some problems with some outlets, some wiring, some connections. And so they're taking the opportunity now to dig and install new conduits and new cables so that that can be another successful event for the community. So wanted to give those updates to you. I'll be glad to send those in writing and other additional information. But those are the things I wanted to highlight now, just short as you look to adjourn your meeting. Are there any questions? All right, thank you, Council.
Michael, would you address the new security system that we'll have at City Hall? Whatever education.
We are going to have a new security system in City Hall.
Shoot your guns.
I could have said
That's a nice briefing.
Yeah.
How does that impact us?
We're going to have a new security system in City Hall.
Sure.
So I think the Frank part, I wonder why we're bringing this up now on TV, but I guess the full disclosure is we don't have a security system now, and we will have one. And the important part is that is being installed, and there will be a code so that you actually have to code in and code out beyond the cameras and everything else that we have. There will now be, alarms and sensors and things, and it'll be very specific to getting into City Hall. So people from other departments outside of City Hall staff can get in and access this building aside from the police. So that'll be something that's coming now.
So no thermo sensor, like sentry guns or anything cool like that?
Lasers, lots of laser beams. And in fact, if you come in, we want to see tiptoe. So anytime you come in, we're not going to tell you when the alarm's on. You just have to kind of creep over.
I'm just going to set it off.
I sure hope no criminals are watching this right now.
Exactly, but there's the update, so.
We're going to start a pool to see which city employee will forget to disarm the alarm first and be the first to meet one of our police officers responding to that alarm. It happened a lot over at the old City Hall. Thank you, Michael. We'll go to council member reports. We'll start with council member Blair.
Well, I'm just getting back from a long business trip, so not anything too crazy, but I will say I cannot wait till the day comes where we can get rid of these, because I went through a lot of states that don't do it anymore, and there's a lot of happy people.
Councilmember Carmody.
So on Wednesday night at Intercity Transit, we reviewed our mission and vision statements, our goals and policies, and looked at our 5-year strategic plan from 2021 to 26 to see if it needs updating for 22 to 27. We made a few tweaks here and there, but nothing, world changing. I would like to mention that we've had some communications from the public via email saying that the way that we've been choosing city council member replacements hasn't been exactly clear, and that we should adopt a formal policy for this. And I completely agree with this person who has been emailing. The fact that we don't have a policy leaves it very confusing for everybody, city council members, staff members, members of the public, and the applicants themselves. I just don't think it's fair to anybody that we don't have a solid policy in place. So I'm going to suggest that we discuss this at the special meeting, and maybe either institute a specific policy then, or do a trial run for a different way of doing things, because the way that we were doing it, the way that we have been doing it, is just not super transparent to people. So that's all I have.
Hey, Councilmember Curry?
The senior center did get their capital improvement grant, and so we're dealing with the Department of Commerce and gonna be able to fix our gutters in the back wall down there. And Boys and Girls Club breakfast is Thursday morning, and Public Works is Thursday. So that's it.
Thursday is very popular in the morning. Thank you, Councilmember Zeno.
Thank you, Mayor. Yeah, got a Public Works Committee meeting on Thursday, our community development meetings and council, like what, second or third time in a row or so. We need to start having those, other than that, just a big thank you again to all the applicants that came out today. I'm not a great public speaker, and I know for people that don't do it often, it can be, a struggle, and it can be intimidating. So thank you very much for doing it and stepping up to serve your community. So that's it.
Councilmember Kaminsky.
I was gonna say, I feel like our system is very, very transparent, so I think that's a good thing. I just also wanted to thank all the people that showed up in person to speak to us. That's why I'm here. I agree with James, I don't want a mask, I'm suffocating. But I wanted to be here in person. For the people that were there. And also, we have a hard choice. Obviously, 8 people are not going to be chosen, only 1 is. But for the 8 that don't get chosen, please sign up for a commission. There's lots of spots. It's a great experience. We want everybody involved. We don't take for granted that you apply. So thank you.
Yeah, about the most opportunity there's been for people to apply for one of the council positions in a very long time. So hopefully everybody stays interested after this experience. As for me, the only update that
What about Tracy?
Oh,
Gary, you got in this time.
everybody gets their turn at being forgotten. My apologies. Tracy, with the moment we've all been waiting for, would you please?
Well, I'll tell you, my meetings start tomorrow morning. I've got my transportation policy board. And I would have to respectfully disagree with Councilmember Carmody as far as the transparency. I think if we start searching and looking into other methods, as I've mentioned before, I think it offers opportunity for less than transparent activity. So I'm a firm believer in the method of people like producing themselves in front of us, letting us know who they are, and then making a decision independently as 7 independent council members, deciding who it is that they believe in and move forward as we always have. So I'm not interested in trying to figure out how to reinvent the wheel. I think it rolls pretty well. And with that being said, that's the end of my report.
Glad that was pointed out that you had to say that. Thank you. My report was covered mostly by Mr. Graham, but I do want to point out that today at the Yelm Chamber of Commerce and monthly meeting, the city of Yelm sort of took over. And our police department did a fantastic presentation on crime trends in Yelm. And unfortunately, it was not recorded, but we can have Chief Stansel come in and reprise that for for us at a future council meeting. I think the council would find it very interesting. I know there were 3 applicants for city council who attended the meeting, but no council members actually attended that meeting. You missed a great presentation. And then it was finished off at the end by Kathy Linnemeyer, who took the city minute, and we were given 2 minutes, thank you, Lynn, to talk about the boards and commissions so that we can get more applicants for those positions, get all those boards filled up. And so, there being no other business before the council, if there's no other good of the order,
We'll do it, Jared.
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, staff.